Hi everyone. This tutorial is for a Zippy Loom garter stitch scarf. You'll be doing lots of E-wrap knit stitches as well as purl stitches, along with lots of written instructions. The basic steps that we'll cover are number 1, the chain cast on, 2, the E-wrap knit stitches and the purl stitches, and 3, binding off. So a garter stitch is about knitting and purling. It's a great reversible stitch, so both the front and the back will look really great. To make this lovely Zippy Loom scarf, you'll be needing some very, very thick yarn, such as number 7 thickness. I myself used 2 strands of yarn. I believe it was a number 5, so I needed 2 balls. You'll need 2 Zippy Looms because we'll be using 8 pegs. You'll also need a hook for knitting over your loops, and you may or may not need a tapestry needle. That would be for weaving in the ends. So to start off, we're going to be making a slip knot. So you'll be making a loop with your left hand and then grabbing a bit from the right and then pulling it through the loop in your left hand. Then you'll be needing to pull it in order to tighten it. Now, you're not going to be putting the loop over or on the peg. You're actually going to be putting it behind the peg. And then you're going to put your fingers in it from behind and then grab the working yarn, which is in the front. You're going to make a new loop, and then again, you'll be grabbing the yarn in the front to make a new loop, which is going to be behind. So you're going to keep at this, making your new loops. You're going to be continuing to put your loops behind the pegs while keeping your working yarn in front. That's the chain cast on. Now, when it comes to the peg at the end, which we are going to be calling peg 1, you'll be putting the loop over that one. Pull to tighten, and you've done the chain cast on. So now let's call our pegs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to make things easy for the tutorial. The fun part is next with lots and lots of knitting and purling. So for the first peg, you're not going to touch it. You won't wrap it. So you're going to start off on peg 2, and you're going to E-wrap. That's back to front, and then you're going to knit over with your hook. You're going to E-wrap again back to front, and then knit over. And then again back to front. You knit over that bottom loop. You're going to E-wrap, knit back to front again, and you're going to knit over that loop, knit over that peg. You're going to E-wrap back to front again, and then you're going to knit over, E-wrap that one again, knit over, and then on the last peg, finally you will E-wrap again, and you will knit that over. Now for the next row, we're going to be doing some purl stitches. So we will start out on peg number 7. And what you need to think about is the old loop comes off and the new loop goes on. So with your hook, you're going to reach through the old loop to grab the working yarn, and you're going to pull it upwards through the old loop. So with that, you're going to make a new loop, and then you're going to remove the old loop from the peg, and you're going to put the new loop on the peg, and then you're going to tighten things up. So again, you're going to use your hook to go under the loop. You're going to grab that working yarn, which is down below. You're going to pull it upwards, and you're going to make a new loop. You're going to remove the old loop from the peg, and then you'll put your new loop on the peg, and then you're going to tighten things up. And then again, you're going to use your hook to go under that loop to grab some new yarn to make a new loop. You will remove the old loop and then put the new loop on the peg, and then you're going to tighten it. So you're going to be continuing with this process for almost all of the pegs that are remaining, except for peg 1, which is at the end of the row. That's so you're going to get a nice edge. So let's keep going with your purling by using your hook to go under that loop to grab the working yarn to make a new loop. You're going to remove the old loop from the peg, put the new loop on the peg, and then for this peg 1, you're going to E-wrap knit. And with your hook or your fingers, you're going to knit over. And then to prepare for your next row of knitting, you're going to push all of the loops down. And you're going to be touching loops, the pegs 2 to 8, not peg 1. So you're going to knit by doing your E-wrap, and then you're going to knit over. Back to front, and then knit over. You'll knit back to front, knit over, and then so on. You'll be doing this for the rest of the row as part of your garter stitch. So you'll keep going back to front, and then you will knit over. Okay, great. So next, since we're going to be doing some purling, you will lay the working yarn below, and then you're going to purl. So you're on peg 7 now. So you're going to use the hook to go under the loop to grab the working yarn. You'll pull it upwards through the loop. You'll make a new loop, remove the old loop, put the new loop back on the peg, and then you're going to tighten things up. So what you should remember is that the old loop comes off and the new loop comes on. That's how I try to remember things. So another thing to remember when you're going right to left when you're purling is that you're going to be skipping peg 8, and then peg 1, which you're going to reach in a few minutes, is not for purling. You're going to be knitting by doing an E-wrap on that one. And again, it's so that you have some nice edges on your scarf. Okay, so here we are at peg 1. So you're going to do a back to front E-wrap knit here. So keep knitting E-wraps left to right and purling from right to left to make your garter stitch. You'll keep doing this until your scarf is your desired length. So pause your video and come back when you're done. So now we're back together after we've both done a very good amount of knitting, and we're going to bind off together. So for this process, you're going to wrap peg 1, and then you're going to knit over. Then you will wrap peg 2, and you will knit over. Now move the loop on peg 2 to peg 1 and knit over. Then move the loop from peg 1 to peg 2 and wrap peg 3 and then knit over. You'll move the loop on peg 3 to peg 2 and now you will knit over. Then you'll be moving the loop on peg 2 to peg 3, and then you're going to wrap peg 4 and then knit over. You'll move the loop on peg 4 to peg 3 and you will knit over, and you'll move the loop on peg 3 to peg 4. You'll wrap peg 5 and knit over. You'll move the loop on peg 5 to peg 4. You will knit over. You move the loop on peg 4 to peg 5. So next you'll wrap peg 6 and you will knit over. You're going to move the loop on peg 6 to peg 5. You will knit over and move the loop on peg 5 to peg 6. Okay, almost there. You'll be wrapping peg 7. You will knit over, move the loop on peg 7 to peg 6, and knit over. Move the loop on peg 6 to peg 7. So you'll wrap the final one, peg 8. You will knit over. You'll move the loop on peg 8 to peg 7, and then knit over. Cut your working yarn about 6 inches from the loom. I didn't have to myself because I just ran out of yarn. So you take that last loop off the loom and you're going to put the working yarn through the loop and tighten the knot. Your next step then is going to be weaving in that loose end. So you can use your fingers or a tapestry needle to weave that end in through the side stitches. So I just like to put it through the side and like follow along the stitches to make it as discreet as possible. Once you feel that it is secure, then you can go ahead and cut off the remaining yarn. Okay, we can see how thick and lovely the scarf is. So let's not forget your very first cast on row. We've got our slip knot there. We'll need to find that loose end. And again, we're going to be weaving it through the side. So we're going to try to hide it as best as possible. When we've gone through that side a few times, we'll be ready to cut it off with a pair of scissors. So congratulations on this garter stitch scarf made on your Zippy Loom. I hope you enjoy this handmade creation. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel. I'm Ms. Yarn.